evening. Welcome to the Lewisville Independent School District's first live online social media town hall. If you haven't Facebooked or tweeted your question to us already, please do so. We're going to take those questions live during this hour. Before we begin discussing our strategic design process, I want to take an opportunity to introduce you to our panel. They'll be updating you on our district's transformation effort, and they'll be answering your questions for us this evening. Please help me welcome a number of folks who we're so delighted to have with us tonight. Shannon Burke, she is the Chief Learning Officer of Engage and LASD's consultant for this process. Hi, Shannon. Dr. Stephen Waddell is our LASD Superintendent of Schools, and we're delighted that he's joining us this evening. Dr. Penny Riddell, our Associate Superintendent of Learning and Teaching for the school district. Amanda Alvarez, who is a Lewisville High School senior and our student representative on the strategic design team. Elbert Boyd, who is a resident of the town of Flower Mound. Brenda Anderson Brewer is a resident of the Colony. Pam Moore is a Highland Village resident. Sanal Firk is a resident of Carrollton, and Suzette Snyder is a resident of Plano. As you can see, well represented across the district. One of the most popular questions that we've received since LASD started this whole strategic design process is, what exactly is strategic design? To help us answer this question tonight is Shannon Burke. Shannon, can you explain this process for us?
Sure. Thanks, Laura. Strategic design is really a process that creates a focus for decisions that are made in school districts every day. In a time of increasing state and federal regulations in education, it's really imperative for local communities and school districts to engage and take back the ability to set vision and to make decisions at the local level based on the stakeholders' values and interests and their expectations for schools. A vision for any organization, however, means little without a strategic context. So in education, strategic design puts kind of an emphasis on providing the strategic context and clarity for direction and decision making in a district. The key to that is the community input, because schools don't just belong to administrators, they belong to all stakeholders throughout all the communities in a district. District leaders who choose strategic design as a way of making decisions recognize this, and they make a huge investment in time and energy to really hold themselves accountable to their community expectations for education. I work with learning organizations all across the country, and the commitment I see here in LISD from Dr. Waddell, the board, the staff, and this community is incredible. It's exhilarating to see thousands involved in LISD strategic design, and the involvement is a clear, really, representation of the commitment and the cooperation of stakeholders and their ability and desire to want to be involved. This is significant in moving from vision to action, because it takes all of us to act together in our communities and make sure that the hopes and expectations expressed by the community directly lead to actions taken by the district. LASD is already doing a good job, and your new strategic design is going to allow critical changes that will move you from where you are now to the very cutting edge of education in Texas and the U.S. Implementation of this plan will allow students in this district to enjoy thriving, productive lives in a future they create.
Shannon, you really make a very significant point, and that is that strategic design is a process where folks really have to come together across an organization and create an entirely new vision. As Shannon indicated, this strategic design really is a process, so let's check out the process to date. Take a look at this.
6 months ago, the Lewisville Independent School District launched a strategic design effort to transform teaching and learning. In August, the board approved a contract to work with Texas native and transformation expert Shannon Burke. Shannon is the Chief Learning Officer for Engage. Shannon's role is to lead and facilitate the development of the district's strategic design effort. During the months of September and October, the district collected community input, wanting to hear from parents and staff members about their highest hopes and aspirations for their children. We also asked questions about what kind of education they want for their children. Many of these types of questions were asked during the 6 education summits held over 3 days. More than 1,500 citizens participated in these open forums. Immediately following the summits, the district posted an online survey on its website soliciting additional input that reflected on the questions and responses from the summits. For 2 weeks, citizens had an opportunity to continue sharing their thoughts and ideas. Approximately 1,400 surveys were completed. After the survey, 125 citizens participated in focus groups. These focus groups included middle and high school students, parents, teachers, principals, business leaders, elected officials, and district office staff. These focus groups allowed the district to delve deeper into ideas that were expressed during the summits and online survey. In November, the district established a strategic design team comprised of 26 members from across the district. Only 6 committee members are employees. The strategic design team reviewed all of the data collected from the input process to develop a new vision, mission, core beliefs, and measurable goals. From December through most of January, 8 action teams worked on developing objectives for each goal. Each action team had approximately 25 participants. Currently, 1 action team is still meeting and will complete its work later this month. All documents, summits, survey, and focus groups are online at www.lisd.net under the Strategic Design link.
As you just saw, there's been a lot of input and community involvement. Really, that's just imperative when an organization develops a vision. The shared vision that the strategic design developed is all of our students enjoy thriving, productive lives in a future they create. Dr. Waddell, can you elaborate a bit on this vision and why this is so significant to LISD?
Yes, thank you, Laura. I'm honored to share with you the purpose behind the vision statement. As a leader of an organization with over 6,000 employees, a vision is a profound statement for everyone. A strong vision statement helps build identification with the core purpose of the organization. It also gives employees an identification and a sense of accomplishment in the work that they do. Another important point about a vision is that it serves as a promise to our customers and stakeholders. LISD customers are our students. As Laura shared, our new vision is all of our students enjoy thriving, productive lives in a future they create. Through the vision development process, the strategic design team purposely selected each word. For example, the phrase, all of our students is important. It means not one student is left out. It means each student is valuable. The word enjoy is also significant. The committee talked a long time about this, and it became something that we thought was significant. We want our students to enjoy their lives. When we enjoy our lives, we're fulfilled as human beings. I think it's what all of our parents want for their children when they think about their lives and their hopes for them. We were also very careful about the words thriving and productive. Thriving means to grow, to develop, and flourish. We're not satisfied with just surviving or making do or good enough. The committee was intent on the fact that our kids live very, very successful lives and could create and contribute throughout their lifetime. Productive was another important word for us, and we thought and discussed long and hard on that. The concept of service was something that was really valued, yet productive was a meaningful word. And after a great deal of discussion, we decided we wanted to use the word productive, but it included service to the community. One of the most compelling phrases of our vision is in a future they create. As educators and parents, we must teach our students for their future, not our present. In order to fulfill this, we have to prepare our students for careers that don't exist yet. We want our students to command their own futures. We want them to have the power to create their own lives and give them the tools to create the future that they want and the lives that they're going to lead, both for themselves and for their future families.
Dr. Waddell, we've got a couple of questions. One that came in this afternoon. If it's a future that those students are creating, how can we as community members and parents contribute to that?
Well, I'll try to answer that. It's going to take the entire community to fulfill this. The world our kids are going to live in, the immense change that they're going to be facing, is something that not one person, not myself, not our staff by themselves can decide what it is that we need to do. By bringing the whole community into this, we have a good chance of creating the kind of schools that our kids are going to need for their future. I've said in many places in our community, the World Wide Web was invented the year that this year's senior class was born. And we see the kind of change that has occurred since that time. When you think about the fact that our kids that are in school today, the ones that were here this morning, our first graders and second graders, will be leading this world in 2050, 2060, and 2070. It's impossible to think what that world may look like. So I personally believe that it's best that we engage all of our community. If we do that, we have a better chance of making sure that our kids have the skills and attributes that they're going to need, so the world they're going to live in is not going to be one that they find difficult, not one that they're going to find themselves obsolete. I just think the challenges we're going to face are great enough that we need to be everyone involved. And besides, we all have a stake in this. It's our children, it's our community. So I think the best way to approach this is to involve everyone, and I think it's absolutely essential. And really, in terms of this whole process, I think the way that people have responded to this, really the thousands of people who have taken part in the strategic design process have said, yes, we believe this is important. We want to play a role.
And a big role they're going to play. Another question that's just come in, we've just gotten via email, and you can email us too at info@lisd.net. Question we've just gotten via email is really interesting and kind of plays into that a bit. Since the vision is so student-focused, what role are teachers going to play since those students are creating their own future? Who wants to tackle that?
I'd be happy to talk about that.
Thanks,
Our
Dr. Riddell.
teachers are facilitators. Our teachers have an opportunity to design lessons that will engage students, that will intrigue students. And so our teachers are going to play a critical role in helping our students have opportunities for them to discover the learning, for them to engage in the learning in a meaningful way, so that the learning doesn't last for a test. The learning lasts for a lifetime.
Well, and that's exactly what we're looking for, is inspiring those lifelong learners. Thanks, Dr. Riddell. Some great questions we've gotten so far. You can still Facebook and tweet your questions to us. The hashtag is LISD Town Hall. Dr. Riddell, you've got an opportunity to talk about our mission statement, and that is students, staff, and community design and implement a learning organization that provides engaging, innovative experiences every day. It's pretty long, but it's very impactful. Can you share with us what the meaning behind this is and how this is going to affect LISD?
As Laura shared, our mission statement centers on Lewisville ISD becoming a learning organization. Rather than behaving as a bureaucracy, we will become an organization that fosters a focus on the future, collaboration, and innovation in order to continuously transform. Our core business becomes providing engaging work that our students find intriguing, work upon which students choose to persist even when the work seems difficult. Our work then becomes inclusive of all students, staff, and community members. As Dr. Waddell mentioned, our students are our customers. Staff, parents, community members, business leaders, and elected officials are our stakeholders. The spirit of our mission is that we learn and transform. Together, students, staff, and community design and implement a learning organization that provides engaging, innovative experiences every day.
Thanks, Dr. Riddell. Becoming a learning organization is necessary for our district to continuously improve and enrich the educational services that we provide for our students. We just got a question in on email, and this really kind of asks us to explain what is this going to look like? An organization, a learning organization that provides innovative and engaging experiences. What is that going to look like? How is that going to actually take shape in the classroom?
May I? It looks to me like students collaborating together with materials of various types, whether they're digital or written or primary source information. And the children are collaborating around this information, and they're engaging with each other and challenging each other's thinking in a way that helps every student understand very deeply what it is that they need to learn, and they're learning it in a way that makes it interesting for them. And so students literally want to come running into the building every day so that they can get back together with their friends to collaborate about their learning.
You've kind of touched on that a little bit, but a question that we just got in, I hope you can kind of expand on that for us. What does this new mission then mean for the kids? You talked about the passion with which they will enter the classroom and learn each day. How does that carry out?
It carries out because we're doing things together. We're no longer telling information to students. We're letting students be part of forming how they want to learn. We're letting them engage and help us decide what's the best way to give them information so that they create the meaning themselves. So they are participants with us.
And we're looking.
A recent example of that. I've talked about this a little bit. We all know that recently Steve Jobs died, and it created a lot of attention. He's made a profound impact on our world. So there's a lot written and said about him following his death. But one that really caught my attention was the dean of the SMU School of Engineering wrote a column in the Dallas Morning News about his death. And in that, he talked about his own department, the School of Engineering at SMU. And he said a couple things that really got my attention. One is he said that schools of engineering like his have got to intentionally train Steve Jobs, that they shouldn't just be created by accident. The world we're going to be in can't afford those kinds of accidents. It's got to be intentional. He noted that that knowledge, the knowledge that his engineers would be used, can be found. It's found on the internet, and that doesn't need to be the main focus of training engineers. And they formed at the School of Engineering something he called innovation gyms. I think what things will look like will be SMU is experimenting with that, and there will be some experimentation. But you kind of get a mental notion, and when you think of an innovation gym, what might be going on in there in a graduate school of engineering, as there's a lot of creativity and a lot of collaboration, a lot of teamwork together in terms of in this case solving engineering problems. So I think in this case a school of higher education training engineers, we see they're also grappling with this, and those are some interesting ideas to think about from our perspective as we try to move forward and answer these questions and provide the kind of learning our kids not only need but I think want.
The kids and the families both. Dr. Waddell, thanks so much. We've gotten some wonderful questions in so far, and we invite you to send those in as well, not only Facebook and Twitter, but also you can email this to us, info@LASD. We want to take a look now at our core beliefs, and Amanda is going to share with us her thoughts about the first core belief. I'm going to read that off real quickly. Every student is uniquely capable and deserves to be challenged each day, and obviously we want to take a look at that from a student's perspective. Amanda, what can you share about that with us tonight?
Laura, as you mentioned, our first core belief, 2 key phrases stand out, which include uniquely capable and deserves to be challenged each day. We believe every student is unique. Each student has strengths and talents that no one else has. As a student, knowing my teachers see the uniqueness in me helps me build my self-confidence. This self-confidence allows me to try harder and take risks that otherwise I would not take if it wasn't for my teachers' support. This phrase also expresses that our teachers will teach to our talents and strengths. In essence, teachers will want to stretch these strengths and talents to where I can grow and take ownership in my own learning. The second phrase, deserves to be challenged each day, states that I won't be bored. To me, it means no more boring sit and get lectures. I want to be challenged where I'm allowed to collaborate, think, and problem solve in partnership with my teacher and my classmates. This belief also states each day. I know when I come to school every day that I will learn the way I like to learn.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us. We've got a question tonight from Twitter. The question is, individualization is great, but that takes a lot of time in the classroom, so how does LISD do this? What do you think?
I think LISD would do this because if you get the teachers involved and all of the staff members involved and the community, which we really focus on that, just knowing that the community is involved, it'll help with the individualism and it'll help everybody to feel like they have a part in the new strategic design.
And we're really grateful for the part that you're playing in that for us, Amanda. Thank you. A core belief number 2, we're going to take a look at that now, and that is uninhibited learning depends on a safe, nurturing, inclusive, and flexible environment. Suzette is going to tackle that for us tonight. That's a long one, but explain it for us if you would.
Thank you, Laura. This core belief is huge for our strategic design team. When crafting this belief, we spent hours researching each word to make sure it expressed what we wanted it to say. As outlined in this belief, 4 key points are addressed. These points are safe, nurturing, inclusive, and flexible. I'd like to elaborate on each of these 4 main points. First, safe. Each child and staff member deserves to feel safe in their school and classroom. There are 2 kinds of safety. First one is overall physical safety. For example, all of our schools have secured entrances and will soon have a Raptor system. The second form is the safety for students to express themselves. All students and staff are safe to be who they are. Next, nurturing. All students will be nurtured where they can grow emotionally. Regardless of age, students need to feel cared for, and when they do, they will flourish. Inclusive. All students have the right to belong and be included in opportunities to participate in events, activities, and programs offered by the school and the district. No child should feel or be left out from being a part of this community. And flexible. There are two parts to flexible. One part is flexibility of space. As we teach students for their future, our school facilities need to be flexible environments. We don't need to have traditional school buildings to teach in the 21st century. This allows for innovation and exploration in what kind of spaces we need. The second part of flexibility is how we teach our students. Students may have different desires in how they receive their education. For example, in some courses, they may want to take them online, and some may want a classroom environment. There could be a hybrid approach even. Flexibility simply means to look at each area of a school system to determine if it is needed, as well as ways to modify systems to meet the needs of students. The team also discussed the importance of uninhibited learning. We wanted to express that students will be able to learn free from constraints, which means they can learn as long as their environment is safe, nurturing, inclusive, and flexible. As you can see, core belief number 2 is extremely important. To parents, nothing is more important than their children, and this value reflects the importance of our children's well-being.
Quick question for you, Suzette. We talked about uninhibited learning. It sounds wonderful. So how does the district plan on creating those environments that really encourage uninhibited learning to flourish?
I think in the data we created came from the town hall meetings, from all the student focus groups. We just realized that students have barriers at this point, either the way they're being instructed or the way our system is set up. It's an archaic system that isn't flexible for what students need today. So as we looked into what the students expressed, they needed that opportunity to be able to have a conversation with an instructor rather than just to sit and hear a lecture. So uninhibited learning means a dialogue rather than just sitting and listening.
Looking forward to see how that takes shape throughout LASD. We want to take a look now at core belief number 3. Pam is going to tackle that for us. And core belief number 3 is an educated citizenry is essential for equal opportunity and a prosperous society. Pam, can you share with us the perspective of this core belief on behalf of the strategic design team?
Yes, as I heard Laura share core belief number 3, the words all-American came to mind. Sorry.
We're having a couple of technical issues. We want to apologize for that. You'd mentioned an educated citizenry and talking about how important that is in creating a future for the kids. We're working on getting those technical issues resolved. We apologize for that. Really, the focus that we're thinking about taking with this particular core belief is focusing on how the educational system is going to impact kids and how they can progress as citizens in this world and become very prosperous members of society who are adding to the culture and adding to the economic system. Let's skip ahead to core belief number 4, if we can get a chance to do that. Those questions are rolling in, so keep sending those in. You can either email those to us, info@lasd.net, or you can tweet those or Facebook those. The next question we want to take a look at is, how will educated, we talked about an educated citizenry, how is educated going to change over time? Does that simply mean that it's going to be focusing on classroom education, or is that going to focus more on a career training program such as the programs that we have at Career Center East and the Dale Jackson Career Center?
I'll take that one.
What an asset, I think, and even in the news this week we read about how manufacturers in different industries are looking for students who leave high school ready to pursue a career. So there's all different paths we need to allow our students to pursue. Some of those may be college-bound, but some of them may be in a vocational training program, and how relevant and necessary they are to our industry and to our economy, to employers who are local and across the country. So I have experienced just meeting the students here at Career Center East and how they are taking what they're learning each day and applying it even tonight as they help produce this production.
Thanks for jumping in and tackling that for us, Suzette. We really appreciate that. We've fixed our issues. We're going to head back to Pam because we know she's got a lot to share. Pam, can you share a little bit more? You talked about All-American coming to mind when you thought about an educated citizenry. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. The principles of an educated citizenry, equal opportunity, and a prosperous society truly reflect Americans' inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Creating and maintaining an educated citizenry is essential to the long-term health of our community, state, and country. Core education begins in the home and community, but quality public education with foundational principles is a priceless pillar providing essential support for the majority of today's students. Striving to incorporate only the very best in public education assures greater opportunities for all students to pursue their profound visions of the future and their meaningful dreams. Instilling as our standard education that encourages a well-informed citizenry actually creates the environment essential for the rising generation to have equal opportunities. Whether speaking about our country, state, community, or each distinct individual, we want all societies to be prosperous. But to provide that prosperity and equality, we need a well-educated citizenry. As Benjamin Franklin stated, a nation of well-informed men, and that includes women and students, who have been taught to know and prize the rights, or in other words, their great opportunities given them, cannot be enslaved or be held back. It is in the realm of ignorance that tyranny or the lack of opportunity begins. I wholeheartedly endorse the LISD's core belief that an educated citizenry is essential for equal opportunity and for a prosperous society.
You and a lot of folks share that same belief. Thanks, Pam. We've got a question that we want to get answered now, and it's up on the screen for you. How do you establish a culture change when a lot of the work that kids do currently focuses on learning for state testing? How do we shift that experience? Pam?
Well, the learning in the schools needs to be meaningful and relevant. And the testing that's currently being done is not necessarily applicable to the real learning that's taking place amongst the students. So they're frustrated and teachers are frustrated. I think that part of this is changing the whole mindset of education. Education needs to be an opportunity for students to create their own type of learning. For example, I'm wearing a pin tonight that I bought at an elementary school that was doing a segment on creating societies, and they had the whole 5th grade class participated in a fair where the students determined what kind of product they were going to produce. They had a budget they had to learn to work with. They had to determine the market, the type of market they would be selling in. And they all came together after they consulted with others to sell their wares. And it was wonderful to see all these students and how creative they were. And it went far beyond sitting at a desk doing worksheets or learning about economics from a book. They were applying principles that they learned whilst in the classroom, but this opportunity that they were given helped create for them a greater love for learning and helped them to see all the different facets that go into marketing, all the different things that need to be considered. That's one example. I think another example that we talked a lot about, and Dr. Waddell addressed it, was the importance of the community being involved in this whole process. For example, About 8 months ago, a student came to me and asked if I would mentor her on the Constitution and our Founding Fathers. And so we sat down and she kind of came up with a plan, and in the process we decided that she wanted to do something that would be ongoing. So she wanted to create something for the web. And so she gathered students to come together, and they started making their own costumes to portray the founders. They created a time machine, and as they did this, their community, they were effective in putting in practice in the community what we want to see in the schools, and this can be taken back to the schools.
Absolutely. Some wonderful examples. Thanks so much for sharing those. And you kind of touched on what we're leading into, so thank you. That is core belief number 4, which is meaningful and relevant work engages students in profound learning. Brenda, can you explain what that really means for LISD?
Thank you, Laura. I have the privilege to elaborate on this core belief, which focuses on meaningful and relevant work for our students. As parents, when we ask our students what they learned today, we often hear responses like, "I don't know," or "nothing." When work is purposeful and meaningful, however, the work becomes important to the student and deeper learning occurs. Earlier, you heard from Amanda, a Lewisville High School student, and she is a member of our strategic design team. As the team discussed this value, Amanda passionately shared that students want to know why they need to know what they are learning. They want to know its significance. For example, in learning math, they want to know how this mathematical formula can help them later in life. When students can make the connection between why and how, their work becomes meaningful, relevant, and engaging, all of which generate profound learning for the student.
Thanks so much for sharing that. We've got a couple of questions, and we want to get to those really quickly. One is from Facebook, and that is, do you plan to incorporate life skills into the curriculum for all students? Can you tackle that for us?
Yes, I'd be happy to. In fact, as we presented goals for the team members who were part of that process, one of the things that they wanted to be sure to include is life skills. When we, I'm kind of talking to the goal, but when we are looking at our standards, we want the standards to meet what is important to the community and the stakeholders. And so when we can put those in context, then our students will have more profound learning.
For sharing that with something we're going to take a closer look at as the process continues. We want to take a look now at core belief number 5. Dr. Riddell is going to elaborate on that for us. And core belief number 5 is critical thinking and problem solving today are necessary for students to be equipped for future challenges. Future challenges that, like Dr. Riddell said, we may not even know exactly what those are going to look like. So how do we do that?
As a lifelong educator, I love this particular core belief. During Strategic Design Dialogue, we reflected on our community's input during the education summits. Across all 6 education summits, parents, business leaders, and employers expressed the need for students to possess strong critical thinking and problem-solving skills. In today's digital world, students are consumers of exponentially more information than ever in previous years. The ever-growing volume of information demands students process and apply information in different contexts. Students must be equipped to solve problems that don't yet exist in careers that haven't yet been created. The 5th core belief speaks directly to this challenge.
A very powerful core belief. Amanda had shared some really incredible student perspectives that helped the strategic design team develop that particular belief, and we've got some questions. If we can pop those up on the screen, we'll take a look at those and get those answered. Disruptive innovation sounds interesting. That's one of the core beliefs we're going to be talking about. How do you plan to get teachers on board if they have a slightly more antiquated view of education? Can you talk a little bit about, first of all, what disruptive innovation is?
Thank you, Laura. Disruptive innovation is necessary for genuine transformation. And sorry.
Sonal, you were talking earlier about being a parent and an engineer and how that really establishes your particular connection to this belief. So if you can talk about how that leads into it, that would be a really terrific insight to share.
Oh, thank you, Laura. This is one of my favorite core beliefs. As a parent and engineer, I love the idea that our community believes that genuine transformation requires disruptive innovation. Genuine transformation can only happen when innovation exists. Transformation occurs when we all are willing to explore new options and create solutions that are different from what we may have experienced. This allows us to open our thinking in how we approach learning as well as business operations. Disruptive innovation focuses on our ability to take risks. Not all risks run smoothly, and when they don't, learning can take place. It is not just about doing something better along the traditional dimensions, but transforming it by making it simpler, more accessible, affordable, and customizable. As the strategic design team focused on this value, we were very intent on the following words: genuine, disruptive, and innovation. These words signify that true transformation will happen in LISD.
Thanks, Sonal. We had a question via email, and you can email those questions to us, info@lisd.net. What do you mean by disruptive innovation? We've heard earlier that disruptive sounds kind of like a challenging word. So how do we make that into a positive experience for the kids and the students and the folks in our community?
Yeah, I'll take that. Disruptive innovation is a term coined by Harvard Business School professor Clayton Christensen. And you need disruptive innovation in a market when you want to create something new, some new growth, or you want to transform something. And here at LISD, we are looking for a transformation. And that's why it's important that we value the importance of disruptive innovation. Disruptive innovation is when you create something simpler, or you create something that is more affordable or accessible or customizable. If you look at the education that we have, if we can customize the way students are learning, then it will be easier for them to learn, so that we can address their learning styles. And accessible is another feature that we can address, making it more accessible via technology, or making it more accessible, extending the timelines. So disruptive innovation is surely going to benefit our students. And I know that disruptive is kind of a term that kind of scares some people. But if you look at it, how Clayton Christensen has been promoting it in the business side, and if you look at how he is explained in his book Disrupting Class,
Right.
then you will understand how important it is. And I'm so glad that in the strategic design team we agreed on that we need to have disruptive innovation for genuine transformation.
Well, thanks for sharing that insight with us. We appreciate it. We're now going to tackle core belief number 7, certainly last but not least. Education is the shared responsibility of the community. And Albert, you've been so quiet, and we now get the chance to hear from you. Can you share what this belief means to LISD and to our community?
Absolutely, Laura. As mentioned earlier, the strategic design team was focused on word choice. The team wanted to make sure the core belief truly reflected the Lewisville ISD community. There is an expectation in our community that education is a shared responsibility. The district, parents, businesses, senior citizens, elected officials, and community members are responsible for the quality education that is offered in our community. The idea of shared responsibility is a personal choice. It can include volunteering in our schools, partnering with a school or the district to provide services, attending district shows or events, assisting students in their program fundraising efforts, voting in LISD elections, or staying informed on district initiatives. We believe this core value is an invitation to become a part of this great district.
Thank you for being so patient, Albert. We appreciate it. Speaking of the idea that was shared, you can absolutely email us those questions or Facebook or tweet us. And a question that came in just about this topic just a little while ago: how do you plan to engage the community and get them to invest in the education of our students? You mentioned a couple ways that people can do that. How do you get people to buy in and do that in the first place?
Well, Laura, I think it really starts right here with what we're doing this evening. The whole summit that met prior to this team coming together was the beginning of the engagement of the community. And by everyone getting involved, the parents, the businesses, and the beliefs that we've come up with and the goals, that invitation now exists for more people to become a part of this process and to really help us create the vision that we want to see moving forward within LISD.
Well, you had mentioned those goals, Albert, and now we want to get a chance to tackle some of those. The first goal that we want to tackle tonight is a question from Facebook, and the first goal is providing all learners with a safe, nurturing, inclusive, and flexible learning environment. We heard about that in our core beliefs. Let's talk about how we can accomplish that.
I think, as we recognize, some of our core beliefs and goals are similar. This synergy allows the district to focus on what the community values, as well as implement objectives to accomplish this goal. We will provide all learners with safe, nurturing, inclusive, and flexible learning environments. Also implied in this goal is the necessity to use technology to create flexible learning environments. Not all environments need to be the same for all learners to achieve their desired educational goals. The integration of technology and learning is significant in the district's ability to achieve this goal. Because this goal is significant, we had two groups of community members develop measurable objectives. One of the teams is still meeting to outline the necessary objectives to fulfill this goal. Later this month, the strategic design team will meet to review the latest objectives addressing the goal. More information will be available soon.
And we're looking forward to hearing what that information is. We got some really great questions, and one of them that focused on this particular goal was, I'll read it off my paper here, someone was very excited to see the first goal of the strategic design team is to create a flexible learning environment, being that all students learn differently. In what way does the design team plan to embody the goal of a flexible learning environment for all grades?
That's going to look different on an elementary level than it would on a high school level, but definitely there was input from students and from parents, residents of the community, as to our public school system needing to flex. Seeing the online learning has exploded in recent years and has become a powerful tool that offers people the time frames where they can access information and learn, and how it meets into their schedule. So needing to see our public school system adapt to that mode that the private sector has already gone to, that the higher education system has already gone to. So that will definitely look a little bit different in the high school level than it will in the elementary, but including that in our frame of reference as we look at the structural environment that children learn in, but also the times and the places they can learn online or in the classroom.
You just hit on that, Suzette. Thanks for bringing that up, learning online. The second goal that we want to take a look at is that LISD will engage learners through the use of technological tools to access, create, and share content, as well as collaborate with other learners around the world. Amanda, as a student, you've got a unique perspective, so can you share what this means to you?
Yes, with this goal, I feel strongly about it because it reflects how I like to learn. I like to learn by using technology where I can access information, create content, and share it with my teachers, parents, and friends. I also have the ability to collaborate with my classmates, which is engaging versus sitting and listening to a lecture for an hour. No one likes to just sit and listen. My peers like to talk about the subject and learn from each other. We love it when our teachers serve as partners in our learning. Another interesting part of this goal is the phrase collaborate with other learners throughout the world. The strategic design team wanted the word world in this goal because it refers to collaborating with our neighbors, schools across our own school district, as well as students from around the world. Also, this goal allows room for additional programs such as Bring Your Own Technology program. On behalf of my classmates, we are excited to have this goal to be part of our district focus.
Thanks for sharing that, Amanda. We really appreciate your insight as a student. We've got a couple of questions, and one that we took from Facebook was, do you ever anticipate there being a time when students can learn from home using technology, really changing what a classroom would look like? What do you think about that?
I think that there can be a time where students will learn from home just because you can get their parents involved in it, and their parents can help them rather than having the parents that aren't always involved. You can help with the parents getting involved, and then also the teachers will be able to help in the community.
Thanks so much for sharing that. We want to take a look now at goal number 3, and that states to reframe state readiness standards in a way that leads to profound learning and has both meaning and value for our students. Brenda, can you elaborate on this goal for our viewers tonight?
Thank you, Laura. The state of Texas articulates what our students must learn by grade level and subject matter. This is called state readiness standards. Overall, these standards are necessary for our students to be successful. However, the way these readiness standards are applied is often not profound. By reframing them, teachers, students, and parents will understand why the standards are important and how they can be used to enhance our students' learning. As we all know, understanding the why behind expectations provides clarity. This clear understanding allows us to open our minds to the learning process and become engaged in our own learning. If we can reframe these standards to provide the why and how, the value becomes apparent and profound learning occurs for our students.
Thanks, Brenda. We appreciate that. We had a couple of questions come in about that particular topic, and one that we got via email is, how do you plan to get around the rigorous state and federal regulations?
I'd be happy to answer that. When we talked about this, it was not so much that we're going to try and get around the standards, is that we want to build on the standards that are existing. We would like these standards to be, or the state standards to be, the minimum that our students achieve. We would hope that our students would go beyond that, and so by reframing them, and as I said earlier, putting them in the context of what our community values, then it will become more meaningful and valuable for students and parents.
Thanks so much. We're going to take a look now at the next goal, and that is to create flexible systems that result in a learning organization that is supported by innovative and engaged staff. Sonal, I know you were excited to talk about this topic.
Yeah, this goal is focused on transforming the business and operational area of the district. As we expect the district's curriculum experts, principals, and teachers to transform what is happening in our classrooms, then the operations side must also transform. The phrase "create flexible systems" is to ensure operational systems aren't working against the transformational effort. They must be reviewed to determine if the system is effective or out of date. Also, this goal does focus on innovative and engaged staff, which communicates the expectation that teachers and staff are highly qualified, talented individuals whose ultimate goal is to provide engaging lessons as well as environments.
Thanks, Sonal. We had a number of questions come in about that particular goal. One that we've selected is, describe what you envision when you use the word flexible. When you talked about this as part of the strategic design team, how did that look when you had that conversation?
Well, as Suzette earlier mentioned, we had two parts to flexible. One is the environments, and one is how the students can learn. So in environment, it doesn't mean that the students have to learn in the classrooms. It's been traditionally like that, but that doesn't have to be like that. That's the flexibility we want in the environments. And how they learn to suit their learning style. We can use technology, and there are n number of different ways that we can think of if we think of innovatively, and we can get the flexibility in how they learn so that the students benefit most of it.
Sonal, one question that we just got in from a community member is, what are some of the ideas? How do you get teachers and community members to buy into this goal if they are maybe not terribly motivated, or if they're a little bit apprehensive about buying into this particular goal?
I'll take that one. I think the strategic design team in itself is a reflection of how the community can buy in. Obviously, there are parents involved, there are administrators, there are teachers, students, community members. There was a very diverse group, and if we could sit around a table for hours on end and find total agreement, not just a majority agreement, total agreement on these core beliefs, these things that matter to us, I think obviously we found a strong basis to move forward. So as we communicate these, I think there's some obviously things that we can all agree on. As a teacher, this shouldn't be an intimidating mantra that you have to adopt and should be afraid that's going to add to your workload. You see the intent behind it, that the staff of schools, that students, that parents are all wanting the same goal to be achieved, and so you want to join in. So I think just as the strategic design group was a great representation of the community, I think students, staff, and community will share in these beliefs.
Some excellent insights. Thanks, Suzette. We appreciate that. We want to take a look now at goal number 5. Dr. Waddell is going to take a look at that for us. Goal number 5, to continuously involve our diverse community, our staff, and our students to use their strengths, resources, and talents to provide engaging, innovative experiences for all of our learners. Dr. Waddell?
Thank you. When I joined the district, and by the way, today is my first year anniversary, I'm very excited about that. I soon recognized that one of the most endearing quantities about our community is the diversity that we have here. And you can see that on this team. I quickly recognize the diversity we have with 13 cities in our district that we serve, as well as the enormous talent of our teachers and staff, the range of student, the ethnicities that we have amongst our students that we serve, and the vast skill set of our parents, along with the wide scope of businesses that are located within the LISD. Because of the power of diversity that we have, our district wants to establish strong relationships where our teachers and students can benefit. When we utilize our community's resources, we can provide engaging and innovative experiences for our students, staff, teachers, and partners. As with any organization, when you embrace the diverse talents of all stakeholders, the organization only becomes stronger. For our district, each individual is a stakeholder. By partnering with you, we become a stronger, unified LISD community. And I have to say that what Suzette just said a moment ago in answering that previous question, this experience beginning with the strategic, with the summits that we have, where 1,500 people came to share their thoughts, and I was amazed by how much consistency there was over the 3 days and the 6 meetings, and leading up to finally this strategic design team of 26 very different people who came from across our district. And as Suzette observed, and it wasn't without a lot of argument, but the argument was positive argument, because I mean the level of commitment and passion that the members of this team had to do what's best for our children and our schools was just phenomenal. It was because of that diversity, I think, that we came to a stronger point and really came to such agreement. That was really one of the most powerful experiences I've had in my career, participating in that and seeing how that worked.
Well, may I be the first to wish you a happy anniversary.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. A question that we got via email about that particular topic: what are the ways that LISD can benefit by seeking partnerships with local businesses and civic governments and higher education institutions?
Well, I really think that's kind of a theme that we've been talking about all night. It's really all about partnering. Again, we have a tremendous responsibility and a tremendous task at hand. I think the task we face is greater than we've ever faced before in education, but I also think it's the most exciting. But from my standpoint, I think this group here represents resources. We have an amazing group of businesses in our community. We have a lot of caring individuals come from all walks of life. By pulling them in and using their brain power, it's going to make us stronger. We're going to do a better job. So, I believe strongly in partnerships, and with the talent pool that we have, it's just something that we need to take advantage of.
Well, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing how that develops. We want to thank you, of course, for sending in those terrific questions via Facebook and Twitter and email. Goal number 6 for this evening is to develop and implement meaningful, varied assessments that inform and inspire students and educators for continuous improvement and growth in a way that transforms learning and teaching. Pam, can you share with us the meaning behind goal number 6?
Every education system has methods of evaluating performance or attainment for both students and teachers, but current standards of assessment are not always meaningful or relevant for either group. Many assessments only analyze conveyor belt type education that primarily focuses on rudimentary skills. These are often one-sided, and they don't take into consideration individualized learning, critical thinking, or leadership skills. Varied, meaningful assessments, however, are critical for clarity. They do not undermine core standards, rather they positively recognize each student's unique differences in growth and interest. When assessments appropriately are administered, they highlight achievements, they inspire students to continue learning, and to even develop a love of learning. By contrast, when assessments are neither meaningful nor authentic, they become negative instruments that stymie growth and discourage effective communication. Students, parents, and teachers are able to collaborate toward needful improvements when you have the right assessments. Such assessments also serve as positive reinforcers as students determine their personal learning goals and strive to reach their highest potential. Thus, meaningful and varied assessments help transform both students and educators into lifelong lovers of learning.
Thank you, Pam, for that. This really was a goal that the strategic design team members obviously are very passionate about. We had a number of questions about goal number 6. The question that we want to tackle this evening is, how is this going to impact end-of-course exams, those EOC exams that a lot of folks are very invested in?
Actually, it doesn't have an impact on the EOC exams. Those exams are still going to take place, and they have their place. We really can't change anything that's mandated by the state or any government. However, this goes far beyond those assessments, and it really gets to the core of what the students, what their abilities are. The types of assessments we're looking for are assessments that encompass the whole student, not just a test at the end of the school year.
We're looking forward to seeing how that is going to progress as well. We want to take a look now at the 7th goal, and we'll bring that up. I know that Elbert is very excited to talk about that. We're going to talk about designing an accountability system that transcends state and national mandates and reflects local values and expectations. Elbert, can you just briefly explain that for us?
Yes, last but not least, this is a goal that the strategic design team is proud to have listed. As students are about to take the new state-mandated STAR test, or end-of-course exam, we want to demand a different type of accountability system. We believe in accountability, but we want a system that is more than just the state and national mandates. We want a system reflective of our core beliefs. This goal clearly articulates we want the district to design an accountability system that embodies our community values. As parents and LISD citizens, we know what is important to us, and we should voice the desire for local control. With this goal, we will be one of the first school districts in Texas and in the nation to outline an accountability system indicative of the core beliefs and goals we've shared with you this evening.
It's going to be very interesting to see how that unfolds. Elbert, really quickly, a question we got from Facebook. Is our district one of the 20 that's been emancipated from state testing as a pilot program? And if so, when is that going to take effect?
To my knowledge, at this point, we've not been emancipated from the state testing. That is something that we would probably like to see moving forward, or at least to transform some of the mandated testing in order to include more of the beliefs and core values that we shared with you this evening.
Can I piggyback on that?
Please.
I think that question refers to Senate Bill 1557 that was passed in the last legislative session. And no district has been, it mentioned the question referred to the 20 districts. That was in the law that was passed. However, at this time, there haven't been any districts selected for that. So the commissioner's still developing the rules, and until that's done, there won't be districts selected to be a part of that. So that should occur, I think, sometime this summer. but that naming of districts has not occurred.
Angie joins me now. She is a teacher at DeLay Middle School. Angie, you were involved in the strategic design process. Tell me what you got out of the experience.
To me, the most important thing was I got to hear from the parents and other community members exactly what their expectations of me as the classroom teacher were. And not only that, but I also felt like I was being supported in the role that I play for their children.
Interesting. Thank you. I see Leanne Bandy coming up. Leanne is a coworker currently. She's in the communications department. Leanne, you were on this, and you've really been a vested part of LASD for quite a long time. What did you get out of the strategic design process?
Well, as a parent, if I had to sum it up in one word, it would be invigorating, because there were so many different opinions coming together to work. We worked really, really hard, and we all had different ideas about what everything needed to look like, but in the end, we had a great consensus building of what was going to happen for our district.
Well, thank you, and I'll see you in the office tomorrow. You're next. Come on up. We haven't met. I'm Laura.
Hi, Tricia.
Hi, Tricia. Tell me about your role in LASD and your role in strategic design.
I'm a parent, a community member, I'm a former teacher and a former school district employee, and it was just a wonderful process. I think just very unique in the sense of the district throwing open the doors and saying, you know, we want to create something new, but we're not going to do it alone. We want everybody's input, and so from that perspective, it was just a wonderful and very interesting and often exhausting process. But in a district that's large, you know, you sometimes think that your voice isn't heard or it might not matter, and it was a really way for, I think, for all of us to come together and say, you know, I have some, you know, I'm representing my area, and here's some things, and we could all work together and create a kind of a shared vision. So it's very exciting.
When you say large, it's funny, not only do we serve 50,000, 52, 53,000 kids, but it's 127 square miles, and if you've ever driven it, you know it's a big district. It's a very big district, and we have a lot of communities that we serve, and we've been so grateful to get so much input from so many people. Chantel, can you come up and talk a little bit about the experience that you had in strategic design? Where are you a principal?
I'm the principal at the Lewisville Learning Center.
And tell people about that if they're not familiar with LLC.
Sure. The Lewisville Learning Center is in the heart of Lewisville, and we serve students from all over the district, secondary level. We provide a place for students who have not done well in traditional school, and we try to make it as fun and yet blended learning. We try to bring in all the innovations that are out there that can reach the students and help them to be successful. Once they have that feeling of success, they do very well.
I bet you had a really interesting perspective and a really vested interest in hearing when you talk about individualization and teaching for every individual student. What did you get out of this process?
I think this process will really go forward with addressing the many needs of our students in the district, the variety of learning styles, the variety of abilities, the variety of backgrounds and where students begin, and just being able to reach the student where they are and taking them forward and getting everyone to their maximum potential.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. You're on deck. Come on up. Don't be shy. We're all friends here. Tell me your name and your role in strategic design.
My name is Jennifer Lindy, and I have two children in Lewisville ISD. I have a daughter who's in 6th grade and a 3rd grader who's in special education.
And what was what did you really take away from this whole process, this months-long process?
It was a pretty agonizing process, but I think it will be worth it. I know that life in the real world is much different now than it was when I was in high school, and yet it seems like school is exactly the same as when I was my daughter's age. So I think if this process does what I think it will do, I think it's going to be incredibly exciting for our kids, and for both my kids. That's what was important to me, is that all students at Lewisville ISD are included in this process. And if we follow through and do what we're saying we're going to do, I think it's just going to be absolutely amazing for all the students.
Well, I know we were very excited to get everyone's feedback, so thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate it. Beth Brockman is coming up. Yes. I'm sorry, I've got to steal her away. I apologize. Beth is a wonderful leader in the LISD community. Tell me what your experience has been with strategic design.
I found it a wonderful opportunity to bring together a group of people that often disagree about things, whether it's high school versus high school or different areas of the district or political views, but we all wanted one thing, and that was the best thing for our students. And to bring that kind of energy around the table was powerful, and I can't wait to see where we go.
Well, thank you. We're excited to have you on board. We appreciate it. Vernell, you look lovely. That coral is beautiful. Well, thank you. You hopefully recognize Vernell Gregg. She is the board president of the Lewisville ISD Board of Trustees. This has been a tremendous process, months-long process, thousands of people involved. What did you think about it all?
Well, first of all, I want to commend Dr. Waddell for being brave enough to come to a new district in his very first year and take on such a project. It was a bold initiative.
It certainly is.
But I think that we will be better for it as a district. We have always been a good district, but I think that this is going to transform into a greater district. And we have been as good as we are because of all of the past superintendents and all of the hard-working teachers that we've had. And although I'm sure change is always a little scary, I do think that if teachers will realize that this is going to hopefully give them a little more input, and it will allow them to create more for what they think is best for their classrooms. And as the the people said, they are really, Amanda particularly, they want a part in what they're doing. They want to create the future in which they're going to inherit. And so I think that through this entire process, we heard from people throughout the communities, all 13 municipalities. They wanted a change. They want more engagement. And I think that the strategic design is going to really give us quite a bit to work with. Now, it's going to be a long process, and I hope people will be patient and realize that it's not going to happen overnight, and we're not going to try to do all of it at one time. But I do think that if we will give it a chance, it is going to be worthwhile. And I'd like to thank Shannon Burke and all of the summit participants, the focus group, the action teams, and I can't say enough about where we're going. And as a retired educator, for the first time, we're going to have something to do with what is going to affect education.
Well, thank you for your input. And as Ms. Gregg was saying, we do have a lot of thank yous. Not only do we want to thank Shannon, we want to thank our strategic design team, our panel for this evening. We also want to let you know that if your question that you submitted did not get answered, you'll be able to check back on the LASD website, and we'll tackle those questions for you within the next week. We also have a huge thank you this evening to Mr. Brandon Jackson's students here at Career Center East. I hear them cheering. They did a phenomenal job, and really they are a shining example of the excellence that LISD has to date, and really a firm foundation for how things are going to go in the future. So again, you're welcome to visit LISD.net and get more information about the strategic design process. Thank you on behalf of the Office of Public Information and Communications. Have a great evening.